It's time for the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Powerful and liberating business strategies you can start in 5 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, Dean Soto.
Hey, this is Dean Soto, founder of freedomin5minutes.com and prosulum.com, prosulum.com. And we're here again with another Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode. Today's topic is this: trophies come in many forms when you work hard for them. That and more coming up. Good morning. Daylight savings time, at least as of recording this. So this might actually be a little while because I pretty much record every day, just about every day. And my guys are amazing, and they do a lot of actual content around these podcasts. And so often they are delayed quite a bit. So if you're wondering why in the heck is he talking about daylight savings and it's closer to Easter, don't worry about it. Just go with it. It's more about the story anyway, right? It's more about the story. All right. So, well, it is a beautiful morning today. We still have all these amazing yellow wildflowers and everything's blooming. We have our lupin. If you've ever seen lupin, it's like lavender. I don't even know if it might even be lavender. The same thing. I'm not sure, but it's just a beautiful purple flower just all over the place. And I see the new lupin bushes that have been planted that are kind of wild and all over the place, popping up and everything like that. Oh, absolutely amazing. Even got a small little manzanita doing its thing. That'll have some berries later on. Yeah, just absolutely amazing. So yeah. Oh, before I get into this, why don't you go to Google, type in Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast, and subscribe via Apple iTunes. Why don't you go do that? Do it. You can subscribe at iHeartRadio. You can subscribe on Spotify. If you go to Spotify and you type in Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast or Freedom in 5 Minutes, you'll find the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. It'll be up there. All right. So, and it's not the 5 Minutes to Freedom album or whatever. I actually was like, oh man, I'm not gonna actually name this podcast Freedom. I can't name it 5 Minutes to Freedom because somebody else already made like an album, and it's like, it keeps on popping up and everything. But it's Freedom in 5 Minutes, so complete opposite. So 5 minutes comes later in it. So I was recently on a podcast where the podcaster kept saying 5 minutes to freedom, and I'm like, yeah. It's all good. All right, so JiuJitsu. Let's talk about this a little bit. So I started JiuJitsu about a year ago, and I've talked about this on other podcast episodes. I started it in February of 2019, and February of 2019, the whole idea was I needed a 90-day target. I was part of the Wake Up Warrior community. We were in the King's Challenge, and we had to have a 90-day target. The way that they do things in the Wake Up Warrior thing is every 90 days you create a target for your body, for your spirituality, for your business, as well as your family, something that you're going to do with your family. And it's something that I still do today. I do it off and on. I need to be much, much better about it. But it's something that I still do to this very day. And during that time, I knew that you're not supposed to create targets that are like, I want to get to 180 pounds. because weight is not really it's not something that you can truly be accountable to. But if you sign up, say for an Ironman, or you sign up for a jiu-jitsu tournament or something where now you've paid money, you've gone into it, you have to actually do it. It becomes much, much harder to say, yeah, I'm good, I don't need to do it, right? Especially when it's something that you really, truly want to do. So, I that was my body goal for that time, and it was interesting because I had always wanted to do jiu-jitsu, but there were two things stopping me. One, I wasn't sure about rolling with the opposite sex, which I think I talked about in previous episodes. I always just felt uncomfortable that I don't know. It was just something that was kind of odd to me. Definitely got over that. It's cool because my warrior brothers were like, you're really helping, especially with jiu-jitsu. It's a great equalizer martial arts. You're helping them to, if they were ever in a really bad situation, to be able to at least have some sort of self-defense, right? So that was cool. And then the other thing was I just actually didn't believe that I would be that good at it, that I would be able to even compete at it. I was relatively not out of shape, but I just was not in the greatest shape at that time. I was about 215 pounds, going on 220. And it was just not, it didn't seem like it was going to be in the cards, right? Well, the cool thing was, the really interesting thing was that I did it anyway. and I did my first tournament about 2 years later. It was funny because, 2 years later, 2 months later, I called the gym. I was looking at all these different gyms, and it was kind of a God thing because there were all these gyms that said that they were only open in the evenings. And so I went to Google. I'm like, well, being an entrepreneur, I can go anytime. I don't want to go in the evenings. I want to be able to go whenever I want. And so I go and I Google and I see that this one gym says that they open at 8:00 in the morning. Well, they do open at 8:00 in the morning, but I'm guessing Google got it wrong. They only open on 8:00 in the mornings on Saturday. So anyway, I call this guy. I think they had a ClickFunnels little funnel. I put in my name and everything like that, and then Rudy calls me back. So it's Fresno Ultimate Martial Arts. Rudy calls me back and I'm like, yeah, I really want to do a tournament, a jiu-jitsu tournament. It's part of one of my business things in about 2 months. And he's like, oh, whoa. He's like, yeah, I think we can get you ready by then. That'll be really tough, but you're gonna have to really work at it, right? And and I was like, yeah, I have to. So, I'll just keep calling around to anybody who will take me and who will, help me to do that. And so anyway, he's like, yeah, no problem. We'll try and make it happen. And so I went over there, signed up, and then realized that it was Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening. And I'm like, what? And then Saturdays, you can roll at around 7:30 in the morning. But it ended up being a really, really cool thing because the community, the instructor, it's so welcoming, so awesome. Everyone's so positive. And in fact, it was neat because I went to my first jiu-jitsu tournament so it was, I believe it was April or May of 2019. And ended up getting third place in no-gi and getting a little trophy, a little medal, right? So that was my first trophy in jiu-jitsu. I was like, wow, that's really, really cool. And for a while, nobody was really doing much in the way of tournaments. And the next tournament that came up was a few months later after that. And because of that, the whole tournament thing, of me doing that, we ended up having 5 or 6 people do a tournament. And out of those 5 or 6 people, I want to say 5 of them ended up placing and actually getting medals, which was awesome. And the pictures that came from it and everything was just really, really cool. And to see that it went from, nobody competing to one person competing to then 5 people competing. And then now we have, so in April, I'll be doing another tournament, and we'll have multiple people doing the tournament over here in Central California. And I might even do one down in Southern California a few weeks after that, like two weeks after that. So that was trophy number 1. Trophy number 2, it's not exactly a trophy I expected and wanted. Trophy number 2 is on my right ear. If you were me, at least, but if you were looking at me, it would be my left ear. My right ear it is getting cauliflower ear. I went for a full year doing JiuJitsu, and nothing like that happened at all. Right? Nothing like that happened at all. But all of a sudden, I actually don't even know when it happened or how it happened or whatever, but my ear is starting to swell up. And it's been this way for about 2 weeks now. And I get a lot of people saying, hey, are you going to drain it? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? And I'm like, it's annoying. And it's kind of slowed my roll, which I think I needed to do anyway. I think I was doing a little bit too much. There is someone shooting right now. We shoot. We live in the country, so people shoot quite often. But so all that being said, and it sounded like an AR-15. Anyway, so all that being said, I had, people who say, don't worry about it. People say, drain it. People are like, oh my gosh, that looks so bad. And all in all, I'm like, you know what? I like it. I'm just going to, not from it's definitely not aesthetically pleasing, but it is a trophy. It took me a year to get that thing. Right? It's something that wouldn't have been there had it not been for me doing jiu-jitsu. And you might be thinking, well, that's really dumb. Like, why would you want to just have that as a trophy or whatever? Well, I don't know. I don't know quite either. But I have this thought of just that this type of stuff doesn't happen quite often. Like I said, it took a year to get this. It took a lot of hard work. It took a tournament. It took a lot of learning. It took a lot of different things that people could. It took a lot of things that people could say, oh well, you should drain it because you're going to be stuck with it for life or whatever. It took a lot of hard work, took a whole bunch of different things. And to me, if it stays, it stays. If it goes, it goes. I have scars all over my body from different things throughout my life. And each scar has a story. And those are physical scars and even emotional type scars, things that I do without even knowing that also have a whole reason, have a whole story behind them, right? And I don't want to let those go because those give me power, and this gives me power as well. This gives me a powerful story that I want to be able to share with other people. I want to be able to, I want my kids to look at my ear and say, hey, Dad, how did you get that ear? and be able to tell them the whole story of how hard I worked to get this thing, right? And so trophies come with they come in a variety of different types. And so, what's the whole purpose of this? Why is this so important? Well, it's important because you have things in your life. You have things in your business. You have things in your family. You have scars. You have things that you worked for, trophies that you worked for, that have a whole huge story around them. And it's conventional wisdom. It's the conventional type people who say, "Oh, whitewash it, wash it over, don't forget about it. Get rid of that scar looks ugly. That scar is a blemish on your body. That scar is a blemish on your soul. That scar is a blemish on your character. A scar is a blemish." But there are things in that scar that are priceless. There are things in that trophy that are priceless, that nobody except you and God, nobody except you and God know. There's a thing in the Bible where it says, I believe it's in Revelation, where it says that God will give you a stone, and on that stone is written something that only you and God know. Like, out of all the billions and trillions of people and trillions and quadrillions of angels and just whatever else is out there, only you and God know. And guess what? That's the same thing as the trophies that you have won, the trophies that you have earned, whether it's a scar, whether it's a literal trophy, whether it is a congratulations, whether it's your marriage and your wife giving you a love note, or your husband giving you a love note, or whatever it is. That is a trophy of hard work that only you know the value of, truly know the value of. And you can communicate that to the other person, but only you know the true value of that trophy. So what scars do you have? What trophies do you have that you have a story around? I challenge you this week to at least document or share a story just like this with somebody. I never used to be good at stories, and I'm still getting better at stories. In fact, it was only about 2 years ago that I learned a really good structure for telling stories. And that's really helped me to be able to do the podcasts like this, to be able to share and in a way that's cohesive. And that structure goes a little something like this: what, why, lesson, apply. And I learned this from Garrett J. White from Wake Up Warrior. What, why, lesson, apply. So what do you want to talk about? So like today was on trophies, right? And the story behind my cauliflower ear and how that's a trophy. Why is that important? Why is that important to me? Why is that important to you? What is the lesson that you're going to get from it? The lesson that this story is trying to explain. And then how do you apply it in your life? Hence the challenge to actually document or share that trophy this week. All right? What, why, lesson, apply. And it's very, very powerful. Okay? So, what trophy are you going to share? What scars are you going to share that only you know, that only you have learned? Because these scars that I have are what brought Prosulum to where it is right now, PROSULUM.com. It's why I can work 5 minutes and have a process be created, and boom, it's done. It's why I'm able to have a wonderful staff that has amazing culture, who write this content. When you look at the blog, who are just absolutely amazing people. It came from a lot of this work, right? So, what, why, lesson, apply. What, why, lesson, apply. Go and do that. What is your scar? What's your trophy? Go check out prosulem.com, prosulem.com, as well as Freedom in 5 Minutes. Got me all sentimental. And I will see you in the next Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode.
Thanks for listening to the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Now, head over to www.freedomin5minutes.com and register for our free masterclass and discover how to start systemizing and automating your entire business 5 minutes at a time. We'll see you next time on the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast.